Alright guys, this video is attempt 2 at creating a 2-stage rocket from scratch, and I want to say if you haven't seen the previous upload, make sure you go and watch that first because this video right here follows that video directly. Okay, so for the first attempt in the previous video, we used a core burner and we drilled the core through the entire first stage. This caused a whole host of issues, the major one being that there was 2 nozzles essentially since the entire core ignited, getting thrust from 2 sides. Another one was that the mini rocket lighted essentially immediately since the entire core lights all at once. Now to remedy these issues, we decided to switch the first stage over to an end burner. And as you can see in my drawing, an end burner has no core at all. It essentially just has a nozzle, then a solid cylinder of fuel that's packed in, and then a clay end plug on top. And the major difference here is how the fuel burns. In an end burner, as you can see by the red pen mark, the fuel burns in essentially a circular pattern and goes up the length of the rocket. It's a much smaller surface area as compared to a core burner. This means that you need a much faster burning fuel in order to achieve the proper thrust. Okay, now here's a sketch of our actual design. And as you can see in the first stage, there's 3 portions. There's the clay nozzle at the bottom with the hole drilled through it as usual. Then there's a solid mass of fuel with no core drilled through it. Then there's also a clay portion at the top with a hole drilled through it. Now this hole enables the passing of the fire from the fuel in the first stage to the second stage. So the reason for using the end burner in the first stage is since it only burns at the very end in that circular shape and moves up, all the burnt propellant and fuel is exiting only out of that clay nozzle at the bottom since it's only burning at the end. That enables it to only have thrust out of that one nozzle rather than getting thrust out of both of them like we saw with the core going through the whole thing. And the other advantage is because once again, the rocket fuel only burns from the bottom to the top. That means once all of the fuel is done burning, when it reaches the top, that's when the fuse is lit for the second stage. Rather than with the core drilled all the way through, that meant the entire core would ignite immediately, also igniting the second stage right off the bat. That's not what we wanted. And for this design, we're going with a 1-inch diameter first stage and a 1/2-inch diameter second stage. Okay, so now for the fuel, in the second stage it stayed the same. It was just a 13:7 ratio of potassium nitrate to powdered sugar. However, in the first stage there was a slight change. Because the first stage was changed to an end burner from a core burner, and we know that an end burner has a much smaller burned surface area than a core burner, we knew that the end burner had to have a fuel that burned significantly quicker than would a core burner. Now my idea to increase the burn rate was to add 1% by mass red iron oxide. This is a 150 gram batch, so I'm adding in 1.5 grams. Now, will this slight addition be enough? I really had no idea. I was more concerned with, can we get the rocket to successfully light the second stage with the proper delay, and can we only get thrust out of one end? That was really my 2 goals for this next attempt. Alright, we're about to pack the booster. You can see we got the fuel in there. But good thing we did not launch today because rain is coming down. Okay, here's the top view of the rocket, and as you can see there's a big gap here, and that's for the mini rocket that'll be set in here. This is the stage 1 booster going up to stage 2, and we're gonna drill with this big drill bit here a 1-inch hole through just the clay here, just before we tap into the fuel. That way the fire can burn from the fuel up and ignite the fuse onto the mini rocket. You can see there's the second stage of clay, and there's the fuel, the pink bit there. and you can see it pretty well. But that's where the fire is going to transition from the booster to the mini rocket.
Big L. Unglaublich. Perfect. Test the fit, test the fit. Dang, that'll do.
$367 grams. Slash this tightens up. Okay, to explain what we're doing here, we're essentially driving in a 3-foot curtain rod that's hollow into the ground. That way that the tail that you caught a glimpse of earlier can sit underground while the rocket can sit flush with the ground. It will all make sense in just a second here. All right, so this is our launch pad setup. We have a metal stake set into the ground. These 2 springs taped here to go over the metal stake. Then we have a wooden fin that's inserted into the ground about 3 feet or so. All right, rocket test. Uh-oh, it's burning really slow.
At least it's...
Oh no. Actually, Mini's gonna launch, hopefully. That is really slow. No thrust at all. Did it blow out the plug, you think?
I don't know.
That burned way. Oh. Oh my god.
That one was good.
Oh, I heard it hit over there. Alright, rocket test. Okay, we just installed this launch pad essentially. Here's a 3-foot rod and we'll show you how well it fits in here. This way we can fit the end tail of a rocket or whatever we need for the setup. But that literally fits all the way in. And then we just put this cap on it when we're not using it. Uh-oh.
No.
The herd is coming.
Hello, we're friendly.
Oh my god, dude. They want to watch the next rocket launch.
Yeah, they're asking about.
And you can see the hole right there. Still present. Okay, so clearly the rocket did not perform as it should have. There was really only one thing that went wrong, and this was that the fuel burned far too slow. Probably around 5 to 6 times too slow. And this is clearly seen because the rocket had 0 thrust. However, there were actually more positives than negatives in this test, improving from our last attempt. The first big positive was that the second stage actually launched when it should have and had that proper delay waiting for the first stage to completely finish. The second positive was that all of the expended fuel escaped only out of the nozzle and didn't go anywhere else, so that was a good sign. Now moving forward into the next attempt, attempt 3, we have 2 ideas. The first idea is pretty simple, and that's just choose a fuel or make a fuel that burns much quicker. We're thinking black powdered base. Now the second idea would be going back to core burning rockets, but this time rather than drilling the core all the way through the entire first stage, we just drill it the normal depth as we've done in the past for single stage, but then route the fuse differently. Route it somehow from the outside, maybe have the fuses split off, that way to time the second stage properly. Alright, and that's the end of this video. I appreciate those of you who made it through to the end. I know it was kind of on the longer side, and I'm going to warn you guys now that the third iteration of design and testing won't come out for quite a while.